Hey Ev, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on what I think will be a long-term solution for the scene and something that will help us out. And that's really going to be creating a nav mesh that is a custom nav mesh rather than asking Spoke to kind of guess what it wants to do um, with the nav mesh. So I'm going to start with just adding a mesh of a plane, which it definitely puts somewhere in the center of the world. Where'd you go? There it is. Great. And I'm just going to use your existing model to lay this out. So I imagine that they're going to deboard the plane. I hope I didn't make that up, but I can always change this if I did make that up. So I imagine that they will spawn somewhere around here. You're wanting them to be able to kind of have the ability to deplane, and then we'll probably get some sort of like staircase here or something like that, would be my guess. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of allow this to be a ramp down. So we're just going to tab to edit it, click on the edge of it, and we're going to use editing for edge mode, and then we're going to extrude using E down to the ground. Oop, keep going, Brendan. Extrude to the ground. All right, that's fine for now. Yep, that went through the ground. So I want to now pick this up, this edge, so that's where it collides right there. So we're going to grab that edge and now we're going to extrude from here, and this will be just a matter of how much freedom you want to give them. You know, I don't know if you want to let somebody maybe try to make a run for it when they deboard the plane, that they might try to like run away. And because I did this at an angle, it came in at an angle because I'm awesome. So good job, me. And why is that back up in the sky? Why is it this flat? Oh, Brendino. It's the end of a day. Cool. So just doing this for right now, real quick and terrible. And on that same note, let's just get it down to its vertices level and just kind of play catch up a little bit here. So now, because we're on the ground, let's go ahead and pretend that you're going to let them have a little bit more freedom. You know, maybe there's an optional version of the show where they could make a run for it. So what I'm going to do is let this edge on the side be extruded. I really want to extrude it along maybe the x-axis. Is that true? Yes. So just give it a little room on the x-axis, go over here, hit E for extrude, X for the x-axis, and go out to there. So now we've at least given them the option that when they deboard, maybe somebody wants to see if they can be sneaky and run away from you. Kind of line this up at the center of your doorway. So we can make our life easier. And now we're going to extrude, and I guess this is along the y-axis to get them inside, right? And now going inside with this, oh, third wheel mouse. I imagine you're wanting to kind of take them around and then down this one area, and you might arrange the stanchions to guide them through that journey. So what I'm going to do is just kind of get this to get them inside, then extrude along the Y for this next little chunk, and I'm going to imagine that you've closed off the access points there, so that now they need to, or am I seeing this wrong? Is this an opening or is this an opening? This is where the materials might not be serving me, but I imagine that looks like an opening. We're going to go with that for now. we can change this. I'm just showing you kind of the basics of what it is inside of Blender to just quickly extrude and make a mesh. Let's actually go per line here. So I'm going to get to this first stanchion, like that, extrude along the X to the second stanchion. Trying to kind of like very badly build your lines so that you have the option later on of choosing different lines. So now I believe the passport control you're wanting them to go through based off of the video I watched is this final one. So I'm now going to extrude along the y-axis and bring it down to here. And then I'm not sure if you want some crowd control at all to be able to keep them from jumping ahead. So what I'm going to do is just add a little buffer here, then add the area that someone might actually, what's going on? What have you done? Extrude, Y, yes. This is the area someone might talk to you, and they might have like all this to walk around, be nervous, be suspicious, and then you'll notice I can create an area like here for this barrier, and then on the other side of that area I can continue to the door, and now extrude this out, the X, and extrude this out this way. Great. So we have a rough shape now of what we would save out as your custom NavMesh, that is the walkable area. And then what we might go in and do to edit this further is move into our plane mode, and I would then just delete this face on both of these. So now what you notice is there's this gapping that if through rehearsals you found out you wanted to put back later, you could, and during rehearsal you could fly over it to just pretend it's not restricting you. But it would be slight crowd control to keep people inside their area and to not let anyone be able to rush past the barrier. And you could then put waypoints inside your interview area and pass the gate check, so that you would have to be able to queue and send them to the right place. So that in some ways they have that agency to get impatient and get frustrated and try to run away or try to do whatever they want, but you still have some crowd control baked into the mechanics of the environment. So that's my first pass there. And then you mentioned these stanchions. Oops. Someday I'll be better at everything. Oh, I flipped it upside down. That's why it's so weird. Cool. Am I instilling confidence yet? Yeah, so this is a lovely stanchion, but it is definitely very heavy, this divider. So let's migrate. Oh, tab. Migrate by distance. And I'm just going to see how bad it looks when we kind of decimate the heck out of this. Ooh. Ooh. So that's definitely, that's rough. That's rough. But I can get it down about half, and we'd have to see what it looks like with the texture, but I don't know that when I untab, I don't know that this looks terribly different from this. You see the, oops, I'm not showing you both. My face is in your way. So I don't know that this looks terribly different from this now, but it's about half the polygons. So that'll be something we'll experiment with. But I think we could probably get that down, and much like we talked about maybe just using images for these flats, we could also probably use an image for this rope, because these are just places that you don't need to be using polygons, unless when we see these materials come in they look really, really nice, and it's like, no, like that really sets the stage, that really sets the environment, it's really lovely. But yeah, so that's a start on just trying to get the sense of what a NavMesh would look like based off of this environment, trying to figure out where I can decimate some things. But yeah, once I reconnect these materials, I think I will be able to make a lot more headway, but looking good.